1908, in this respectable London townhouse, someone asked a question that shouldn't have been asked. The question was shocking, inappropriate, utterly taboo, and it set Virginia Woolf free. To understand why this moment mattered, you need to understand the world Virginia Stephen grew up in. Victorian England, upper middle class, where sex was never discussed, where propriety mattered more than truth. Virginia knew about sex, though. She'd learned young. From childhood through to her early 20s, Virginia was sexually abused by her half-brothers, George and Gerald Duckworth. She would later write about the groping and the violation, all happening in the dark, with the expectation that she would stay silent, smile, and pretend nothing was happening. This was her education about sex. Not pleasure, not choice, just shame and powerlessness. When her father died in 1904, Virginia and her siblings fled their Kensington home and moved here to Bloomsbury, to number 46 Gordon Square, away from the past and towards something they couldn't yet name. Bloomsbury at that time was rougher and less respectable than Kensington. Virginia and Vanessa, her artist sister, set up a home where their friends, writers, artists, thinkers could gather without the crushing weight of Victorian manners. They became known as the Bloomsbury Group. They occupied several houses in this square and nearby. They talked about art, philosophy, politics, but not sex. Not yet. That was still forbidden until that day in 1908, until the question. Vanessa and Virginia are sitting in the drawing room. Lytton Strachey, the writer, sharp-tongued, openly homosexual, fearless, walks in and notices a stain on Vanessa's dress. He points. Semen? One word, 5 letters, a question. For women of Vanessa's class, this word simply did not exist in conversation. You could think it, you couldn't say it, but Lytton just had. And Vanessa laughs. Not scandalised, not offended, she laughs. And suddenly it's as if a dam has broken. If they can say that, if they can name this bodily fluid casually without shame, what can't they say? Sex stops being something that happens in the dark, in silence. It becomes a topic, a conversation, a choice. Virginia later wrote that this single moment changed everything. After that, they just couldn't stop talking about sex. It wasn't that it healed her trauma, it didn't, but because it gave her something she'd never had, permission to talk about sex on her own terms, not as a victim, not in shame, but as an equal participant in the conversation. What happened next scandalised London. Virginia married Leonard Woolf. She later embarked on passionate affairs with women, including Vita, Sackville-West. Vanessa married Clive Bell, but had a child with artist Duncan Grant. Duncan Grant had affairs with countless men, including the economist Maynard Keynes. Keynes later married Lydia Lobakova, a Russian ballerina, and they lived in this very house. Living in squares, painting in circles, loving in triangles, they said. They weren't just breaking rules, they were living proof that the rules were lies. This blue plaque commemorates the Bloomsbury Group. It doesn't mention Lytton Strachey's question. It doesn't mention that in this house a group of damaged, brilliant people decided they would no longer accept Victorian shame. For Virginia, sexual liberation wasn't healing. The abuse had happened. That couldn't be undone. But here, in this Bloomsbury drawing room, she discovered something radical. She could define sex for herself, love who she chose, write about it honestly, all because someone finally uttered a forbidden word. It happened here. I do hope you enjoyed my story of Virginia Woolf's sexual awakening. If you did, please give it a like. For more historical stories of high emotion, please subscribe to my channel, Scandalous London. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.